So I want to thank Kenan for making it possible for me to come today. And I want to is Victor here? I don't know if Victor's still here. But the Global Innovation Summit is how I heard about Franchise for Humanity. And I came last year. I met many of you. And I'm just so honored to be back here. I'm going to share with you, as fast as I can, my story of my journey this past year. And it's a story about creating this global collab network. And I'm very much in process right now of creating it. And I'm really hoping that as a result of our discussion today that you'll join me, give me feedback, and we'll hopefully be able to become more engaged as a global network of networks. So for the past 30 years, I've been working in Washington on building global science and innovation engagements, focused a lot on science diplomacy, and that is bringing scientists into the global diplomacy space and bringing diplomats and helping them understand the role and the value of science and innovation. And that's a challenging, these are two very different cultural communities. This past year, I decided to leave my job. I was very challenged. Actually, I was very frustrated in what I had observed over the many years of working to raise money in DC for the causes that I cared about, because I kept seeing organizations working not collaboratively, but in their silos, and very much not really taking time to learn about what others were doing and stepping aside and focusing on collaborative engagement. So this past year, I embarked on a listening and learning tour. And I started out by going to the Woodrow Wilson Center and asking Dave Rajewski, who I had worked with at the White House Science Office, if I could collaborate with him in designing some space in DC where we could start to look at innovations more effectively, a lab design of some sort. Because as you know, there's many think tanks in DC, but only a handful of do tanks. He asked me to write a paper, and I started that process. And Ken has been extremely helpful in supporting me in that. But as I was writing the paper, of course, the goal was not to write a paper and have another paper with recommendations out there, but it was to create something. And so as I was writing, I thought, I really need to test out some of these ideas. So I started going around and just trying to educate myself. I went to the annual AAAS meeting, which I had done for many years. And then I went to the Global Innovation Summit, which was very interesting. And then last year, I came here to Franchise for Humanity and was blown away by what I experienced. And since then, as some of you know, there have been weekly meetings by phone that the Franchise for Humanity folks have been organizing. And I really find that what has happened this past year has been very unique. In addition, I went to Toronto. I was invited to a global gathering of labs. And I don't have a lab, but I felt very lucky to be included. And I was very much an outlier in this community, but I realized that while labs have been engaging for probably 10 or 15 years maybe, that this was one of the first time they'd come together globally to share lessons learned. And so there were a lot of labs from all over the world. So you can see this is a slide of at one of the events where they mapped out a lot of the different labs, many of them from Europe, Australia, a few from the United States. But you can see that there's a lot of really fabulous innovation efforts, as you know, going on globally. And there's a real effort to try to come together and learn. So this past period, I decided, what could I do in Washington that would take advantage of my own background as I stepped out of my NGO job of 14 years and figure out how I could plug in with my passion and my networking into all of these other amazing efforts that are ongoing. So I credit this slide to the, again, Victor's organization last year. I took this photo, but it's really trying to focus on collaboration, a lot of what we talked about in the last 2 days. So collaboration is incredibly challenging. It seems so simple, but in fact, you know, we've got so much information, in my opinion. We have so much data, analysis, reports, so many experts, all critically important to solving problems. We've got problems, of course, everywhere, challenges big, small. But in my mind, the biggest challenges are convening in the right kind of space, convening people that are collaboration-oriented, that can maybe even check their egos a little bit at the door, that can come together as we are here in a creative process and in a place that's really truly trust engaging and trust building. So I've been looking at these ingredients and trying to figure out what can I do in this space. So I thought about living room salons. And I've talked to a lot of you about this, and I'm testing these out. This is my living room, one of the salons that we've had. But I realized today when I was thinking about this that one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is because when I was 22 at the University of Washington, I was very lucky to be involved in something where we were educating all the Seattle citizens that we could get to focus on the Soviet Union. This is 1982. And this is a year after we had a huge citizen-wide movement in Seattle focused on preventing nuclear war. This is, again, 1982. And we had 60,000 people come together at the Kingdom in Seattle to talk about and learn about nuclear war. And the next year, we focused again on the Soviet Union. And one of the things we did is we had 500 living room discussions in one night that we organized. And I thought, as I was putting this together, if we can organize 500 living room discussions in Seattle, we can certainly have salons periodically on some of the big issues that we have. And what makes this unique? Well, I think some of the things that I like to sort of try to do when I'm putting together a salon is keep the numbers really small. So 8 to 12, 13 people, small living room, feed them wine if they drink, but whatever, food and drink. Or breakfast, as we had here. Very carefully select the people so that you pull people in that have diverse perspectives, male, female, different backgrounds, young, old. End users are extremely important. So some of the topic areas that we focused on are engaging the next generation. And we spent a lot of time today particularly focusing on that. And that has become one of my big passions. So we had 6 salons on where we brought teens and adults together. And I'll talk about one of the projects that we've incubated out of these salons. And that's the goal, ideally, is to incubate out projects. We've also had 2 salons on engaging North Korea. I spent 8 years building US science engagement with North Korea. We've had salons on mental health. How can we bring these folks out of silos in Arlington County to focus on youth and mental health? Get the schools, the Department of Health and Human Services, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, the parents, focusing on programs that already exist that we can just put in the schools, but we need to bring these folks together. Dyslexia. I mean, I've picked the issues that I care about, but of course, salons can be on any topic. They don't have to be in living rooms. But the idea is to bring people together for trust building, for fun, for sharing our passions, and making things happen, action. So we have focused, I want to just quickly mention two outcomes. One is Teen Stream Video Competition. We've had 6 of these salons. We've created a video website, which you've got the address. I hope you can go to it. But a 13-year-old created it. We had a summer camp where we created a promotional video. We had about 50 YouTube videos submitted to our competition from Australia, Canada, Denmark, Sri Lanka, United States, in 3 categories: personal, community, global. The goal is to get teens across the planet, ages 12 to 18, to articulate their dreams through YouTube videos. And then we're going to bring them to Washington, and we're starting a Kickstarter campaign that's on our website to bring them to Washington, where we want to not only get them out, but network them with existing organizations that empower youth to help them realize their dreams. So our goal is to scale this up and help teens across the planet be able to realize their dreams by connecting with existing organizations that already exist that are desperate to empower youth. So the second project is one that focuses on 18 to 33-year-olds. It's an effort to bring millennials and boomers together. We're working with the Woodrow Wilson Center. And again, this picture you saw earlier was a millennial boomer focused discussion in my living room. We're test piloting this on a number of concepts. So this is one where I think there's a lot of opportunity to empower boomers, I mean millennials, but boomers as well, in a two-way wisdom flow. And I'd love to talk about this more if I have more time. And then the next slide is really just looking at how does this relate back to where we are today? Because Franchise for Humanity is an unbelievable network of networks that, as Mei-Lin said, this is the time for us to act. And so I got so many things out of everybody yesterday and today, and I won't go through it, but I highlighted some of them here. And I feel like we've got the technology, we have the solution. I feel that we lack the leadership, the guts. It's hard to step out of the fear, the community support, the buy-in. We've talked about all of this, the love, the compassion, the dreams. So we are creating the Global CoLab Network, and I invite all of you to join us. This is a global decentralized effort that's, if it's successful in 5 years, it will be because the people that join it are successful. So the whole point of this is to empower the network. So I'm hoping that through encouraging all of you to take your challenges and your problem sets, have living room discussions, just bring in, curate people. Don't wait for any government agencies or universities. If you have concerns, pull the people together. Use your living rooms. It doesn't cost anything. We are getting people to help pay for various salons, so you can get lots of folks to co-fund. And we'll be putting together a website, and I'd love to chat with any of you that are interested. And again, I want to thank Mei-Lin and the great founders of this organization, and Kenan, who's been my soulmate this last year. Thanks.